All right, we are live. Hello, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I am Dr. Nelva Bryant from the When Pets Fly. This is the Veterinary Air Travel Podcast, and I am here with a repeat guest, Vail from Pupwise. But before I get started with all that, let me introduce myself, and I'll have Vail introduce herself, and we'll just jump on into it. But again, I'm Dr. Nelva Bryant. I'm a veterinarian, and I work in the airline industry. I'm on staff with Delta Airlines. And I've been there for quite a few years, helping to review and revise the policies for animal transportation. It's a great role. And to be honest with you, I just don't understand why other airlines have not decided or thought that veterinary oversight is needed in their live animal program. It's truly needed. But either way, despite that, in addition to that, through this time, I've developed When Pets Fly as a means to share pet-centric travel education. And I've been doing that for the past few years. I have a website. I have a social media presence. I'm on, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And as I said, I have a website, www.winpets.com. Please check it out. I share information a little bit different. I'm not giving you your standard tips. Okay, I'm giving you more. It's focusing on the welfare and safety of your pet during transport. That is what I'm doing. So it's a veterinary-led platform to provide this type of information to better prepare pets for air travel. So that's what I've been doing. And I have these podcasts. We've been doing these for quite some time. And Vail has been with us before, but Vail is here. With the podcast, what I've been doing is sharing what I'd say different stakeholders in animal transportation or just even education for pet owners, because that's kind of what we're lacking overall. I had a good conversation with someone about a week ago about this person was in the federal government, and they were just saying how there's a lot of things that people have done, in roles they've played or even positions they've had, and that the education piece is lacking. Folks don't understand what people do. Folks don't even understand fully what veterinarians can do in different roles, as far as even say what I was doing within the airline. Folks don't understand what our capabilities are doing and everything. So either way, education is important. We need to further educate pet owners on a lot of things. Fault that a lot of pet owners can do or may do is that they might get sources. They can do a Google search or whatever, and they'll get multiple information, but you don't know what's valid. So Vail is here to share what she's been doing with Pupwise. So Vail, if you don't mind, please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bryant, for having me back. It's awesome. I love this podcast, and we had a great conversation before, so looking forward to today's conversation as well. So I'm Vail Weymann. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Pupwise. GetPupwise.com is our website. And really, we are focused on the education component of dog care, but we take it a little bit of a step further, because it's not just about education. It's how do you then move from education and progress pet care so that you know what to do next. And so I think that gap between knowing and understanding, which starts with the right information, and then how do you take that and move that forward, really is the gap that we fill. And we found that pet parents are really drowning in information, but they're starving for guidance. Mm-hmm. And so what we really try to do with our experience is bridge that gap. So we're not only providing the educational component, which we can talk more about in a little bit, but then we are helping them take that next step, whatever that next step means for them and is right for them. And that's really what our platform's all about.
That's perfect, because again, there's so much information out there. It could be information overload, and you don't know what the next steps to take. We were talking a little bit before. We're saying how with the new AI systems, chat GPTs and what have you, a lot of people will utilize that, but there always has to be a human in the loop to help you digest this information. If this is not your area of expertise, you can't just take some advice and run with it, because you don't know if it's valid or not. There has to be a human there to help guide you. So from what you're saying, that's what Pupwise is providing.
Absolutely. Because what we've done is we've worked for quite a long time, over a year, working with the experts, the people that know how to guide in these various areas, whether it's nutrition or allergy care or pet travel, like we're talking about now, or running with your dog, or a whole host of different topics that relate to pet care. how do we then sort of take all that information and use AI to package it in a way that's more usable for dog parents? But the foundation of everything that we do is rooted in real conversations, real work with veterinarians who specialize in the various different areas of care that we focus on.
Yeah. So what gave you this idea to create this, though? We may have said it beforehand, but again, for those who didn't watch the first time that Vail was with us, please explain what gave you this idea to start Pupwise.
Yeah, I mean, again, so I was living in New York City a number of years back. My husband and I had a 1-year-old, and we decided that it was time to get our first dog. And so we went up to the ACC on 125th Street in New York City and came home with this this adorable, but at the time we did not know, dog aggressive red-nosed pit bull. Okay. Best dog in the whole world. We love this dog. However, it was the first time that I was living in the city with a dog, and only to find out that the dog was dog aggressive, so loved people, didn't love other dogs. And so there was this whole new world that just opened up to me about how was I going to care for this dog in a way to make sure that the dog was safe, other dogs were safe, etc. And so that's when I started sort of beginning to educate myself. And, you know, I always thought that as a dog owner, really, it shouldn't be my burden to become sort of this amateur researcher, right? Like I you know, trying to dig through all that information and figure out how to solve the problem that I was trying to solve was a lot of work for me, and a lot of challenging work. And not all the advice that I would get was the same. It was conflicting, right? And so really that really put the thought in my head, gosh, there's so much information out there. What do I trust? And more importantly, my problem that I'm trying to solve actually spans multiple areas. There could be a nutrition element, there could be a behavior element. Right. And so just Googling, you know, my problem was bringing me back category content, right? And what really my problem was multidisciplinary, right? It was across different categories. And so there wasn't really a way to guide me to what I should be doing. And that was really the impetus for creating Pupwise, which is how do you take a problem with a dog parent and help guide them to step-by-step down this care pathway to get them to make the right decision for their situation. And that was really the background.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because there could be, as you're saying, if you're in a situation here with aggression towards other dogs, it could be multiple reasons. You just never know. So you just can't, and it's interesting. You could get sidetracked if you just focus on one area. So it is multiple reasons why. Oh, wait, look, why we do things too. There's multiple reasons. It's never just one reason why a situation happens, basically. So that is really good.
And, you know, pet parents don't think in terms of categories, right? They don't think in terms of nutrition or exercise. They think in terms of problems, right? What is the problem that I'm trying to solve? Right. And I think the way that content is delivered today is very much around categories, right? You search for something and you're going to get a blog or an article about a category. Whereas the reality of dog care is that we as dog parents are trying to solve a problem or a concern, and that spans multiple different categories. So if we can rethink the way that we help educate dog parents and guide them down care pathways that pull from different categories, and we think that's a better way for dog parents to progress dog care forward.
Yeah. Those days of just thinking, just again, there's more than one answer to everything. Basically, it's not just. Wouldn't it be great if every situation just had one answer to it? But there's always the multiple factors that's involved with just about everything we deal with. There's multiple factors, so Absolutely. You can't just look at it as my dog is aggressive, it must be this.
Absolutely.
You know what? Veterinary medicine would be easy if it were just one answer for everything. But, you know, pets show clinical signs, and based upon the clinical signs, there could be multiple things that could be going wrong. So it would be nice if it was just one answer, but it doesn't work.
And it's not. And that's why you can't create an experience where there's only one track, right? There has to be a back and forth so that you can begin to help them navigate that care pathway. The other thing, which is really interesting, is that in addition to sort of not living in categories, right, as dog parents, we also have constraints on our lives, right? We have time constraints, we have budget constraints. And so oftentimes there are multiple ways to tackle a challenge in pet care, right? And some of those might involve watching and learning. Some of them might involve educating yourself. Some of it might involve leveraging tools or resources to get to the right answer. And so one of the things that we're really focused on, which again is a little bit different than that's what's out there, is how do we help understand the constraints of the human dog parent and help guide them down a care pathway that gets them to an end result based on the constraints of their own personal life, right? Because again, there's multiple ways to tackle challenges that come along. So one size doesn't fit all in pet care too.
Yeah, no good. So as far as the questions, I don't know if they come this way, but are there more topics than others that pet owners go to Pupwise to look up?
It's funny, you know, it spans different categories. I think the common theme is that underneath all the questions and the reasons why people come to Pupwise is really, you know, am I doing this the right way?
Yeah.
Or, you know, and that spans, again, it spans feeding, it spans training, it spans all these different areas, right? So it's not necessarily a topic that's the most common. It's the underlying feeling of uncertainty that dog parents come to Pupwise to try to provide some level of clarity and direction on what they're feeling or thinking.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of, you know, is this normal? That's really the primary theme across how and why people use Pupwise.
Well, I can think of some topics off the top of my head that are, you know, that everyone is dealing with right now, or just that's, you could say, in vogue, basically. But, you know, the food you're feeding, I mean, the raw diets, the freeze dried, you know, the ideas behind all of that, nutrition, that's huge. And I'm sure there's a lot of questions behind that. I've seen folks that will say, you know, raw food, give a raw diet and everything like that. And then the veterinarian, of course, in me is saying, you know, you give raw food to raw meat to a dog, you know, they're omnivores. They're not true carnivores. Is it balanced? And all these things just come in my head. So it's like, gosh, I don't think that's a good idea. So yeah, they're having a resource to find out what is the best. Is this right for my pet? Yeah, very important.
It's super important. And a lot of our information is grounded in sort of foundational understanding, right? So we're not here to tell dog parents what to do and what decisions to make. We're here to give them information that they can trust, foundational information, thematic information, and then the tools and resources to help them kind of take those concepts further. And I think that's really important because I always look at, you know, say social media is like the slot machine, right? You pull the lever, you don't know what you're going to get, right? Maybe you're going to win the lotto with some real good advice, but I think most of the time you're going to get a bunch of garbage, and that's scary. And so what we're trying to focus on is foundational level of knowledge that dog parents can build upon to have a starting point for making better decisions.
Yeah, that's what's needed. That's definitely what's needed. And I think I did. I may have connected you. I know I've connected you with a few people for Pupwise. And I think there's a nutritionist. What's her name? Megan Sprinkle. Dr. Sprinkle. Did I introduce? I think I did introduce you to her. But she's a veterinary nutritionist, and there's others out there that, again, you need veterinary guidance as far as nutrition if that's a question that you have. And again, Pupwise and the information you share there is definitely going to guide you better. So. I'm trying to think some other topics. Give me some other topics that's or categories within Pupwise. Give me some more categories.
Sure. So obviously food is a huge one, and we approach it from many different perspectives, right? We have a really great, if you like to exercise with your dog, we've got a lot of great content around running with your dog, exercising with your dog. Obviously, not every dog should be running with you. Not every breed should be running. So there's some great information around that topic.
Yes.
We have a ton of information about allergies. And again, allergies can span so many different areas. There's environmental allergies, there's feeding allergies. And I think a lot of people believe that if their dog is itchy, it's automatically going to be food. But that's not always the case, right?
That's not always the case. No.
And so, again, we're giving dog parents sort of the foundational knowledge to begin to figure out what, in a more scientifically sort of scientifically proven way, like what are the things and how can I eliminate and that. So allergies is a big one.
Yeah.
We actually have a lot on end of life care, and I know it's a hard topic, but it's a really important one because unfortunately all of our dogs do age, and I think that understanding what that means and the changes that you're going to see in your dog and the resources to help you personally cope with it, but also to have your dog make sure that they are living as comfortable of life as possible.
Right.
So we've got a lot of great content around that. We have a huge wealth of information on gut health, which, as you know, impacts so much about how the dog feels and acts. Of course, travel, the span of topics and categories is huge.
Yeah, no. You mentioned, darn it. You mentioned, I'm sorry, name the topics again, darn it.
Yeah, sure. We have nutrition, we have exercise, we have weight management, we have allergies, gut health.
I was going to say the end of life one really,
end of life.
That's extremely important. I don't know if I shared with you, I had to have my dog put down. It's going to be a year in November that I had to put her down, and just coming to terms with that. So information for you to come to terms of really sometimes deciding when to let go too. Much as you want them here, you don't want them suffering, but sometimes that information is really valuable for them to have. So that's really good. I'm glad to hear that you have that on there.
Yeah, it's one of our more popular topics of conversation. Again, not because we want to talk about end of life, but it's so important because we all want our dogs to live a comfortable end of life, and we all, and it's hard for us to emotionally separate from how they're feeling versus how we're feeling. And so I think having the tools and the guidance to help dog parents make those decisions is pretty valuable.
Yeah. Your other one on, I would say with this, now that we're getting ready to get into the summer, please, reminder for you saying running or exercising with your pets, please. I would say that would be a great resource for folks to look into, because I hate to see it on these hot days here in Atlanta, people walking their dogs midday. It's like, oh my God, that is too hot for them. The ground is too hot. You have to be careful. But some pet owners they just don't think about it, and they need to.
They do. Making sure they're hydrated, making sure that they're not out for too long. There are some breeds that just should never.
Right.
Dogs are meant to kind of go run, chase a stick, and bring it back. But these long runs with their dog parents are very taxing on a lot of breeds. So you have to just be very careful and knowledgeable about what makes sense.
Right.
For dog.
Definitely.
So that's a great one.
I always say brachycephalic, the snub-nosed brachycephalic breeds, be careful with it.
Please be careful.
Everything. I always say those dogs have difficulty breathing routinely. I have one sitting behind me. He's a snorer. And for those who have brachycephalic breeds, French bulldogs, he farts, he grunts, he's disgusting, but that's my guy. But either way, they don't do well in the heat. So just a reminder to folks, please be mindful of that when you're just day to day. And then also I'll tag way into travel with them. Be careful with them with travel too, because the high altitude and being stressed during transport definitely has a negative impact on them. So just be mindful of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that I think there's a misconception is, if your dog is under the age of 1, I even say wait till they're 18 months. Their joints and bones are still growing, and so you do not want to be taking dogs on runs before that age. That's also really important. It can lead to all sorts of hip issues when they're older. So another thing that I think dog parents think, they're young, they're puppies, they can run. But just they're better off running if you're throwing the ball, chasing the stick, not on long runs with an owner. Yeah,
no, that's good. You brought that up. A lot of folks don't even think about that, their age, and just got to be careful.
Yep.
Be
Absolutely.
Careful. Man. So give me some more categories and stuff, or trying to think some other situations they would be coming to Pupwise.
Yeah, so we also have some really great information around bringing home a new puppy. We have great information about bringing home a new rescue dog, right? So sometimes rescues are puppies, sometimes rescues are older dogs. So we have some great content around both kind of the rescue experience as well as the new puppy experience. And I think
because it's totally different. And I'm glad you bring that up. It's a totally different environment. I mean, a puppy is one thing. Coming from a rescue environment, that's totally different. You don't, you're dealing with, you don't know what the dog or cat has gone through, and you have to be really careful on how you respond to them sometimes. So that's great information to share too.
Yeah, it's interesting. We rescued both of our dogs, and we've had both of them for a handful of years now. Unfortunately, the dog that helped me come up with the Pupwise concept has crossed the Rainbow Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
However, the two new rescues we have, we just learned after having this dog for 3 years that she is very reactive to this one sort of thing that we say, and it was just bizarre. So I feel like with the rescue, you always have to be patient because you're always learning. You don't know what their past experience is and what might trigger them. So we're always learning. And I think that the content that we have around rescues is just a reminder that we have to be patient with them, and we have to be really observant, because you never know when these things from the past can rear their heads.
That's amazing. Hey, do you have anything out there also for ones that had anxiety, separation anxiety? What about noise anxiety as far as thunderstorms? Do you have information about that as well?
We do. We have a ton of content around mental health, which touches on all sorts of different aspects of mental health, whether it's separation anxiety, travel anxiety, which we can get into, because I think there's a huge wellness piece around travel away from the paperwork and the logistics. I think there's a massive wellness piece to make sure your dog is well and prepared to travel. Mm-hmm. We have lots of different within. So the way that we think about this experience on Pupwise is we're always trying to, again, give dog parents the foundational information, but then attached to that, and this is how we help dog parents progress pet care, is the resources and the tools that then allow them to take that next step. So we don't ever want to leave a dog parent saying, okay, that was really good information, but now what do I do? Right. So we're all about saying, okay, now you've read this information. Here is a tool. Here is a resource. Here is a next step. Here is XYZ that then helps you validate or progress what you've just learned. And so we spend a lot of time, obviously you're a huge resource on our website, but we spend a tremendous amount of time finding those experts, finding those resources, so that when you do come across something that you want to move forward, we say, okay, here is a great consultant. Here are 3 eco-friendly dog toys. Here, whatever the topic is, we're narrowing the scope of resources so that you don't have to, again, become this investigative, researcher trying to figure out, with the thousands of products and services out there, what is best for my dog. So there's that piece to all these learnings as well. But mental health is definitely a huge one that we focus on. It's crazy important. There's something called the ladder of aggression. I'm sure you've heard of it, but it also helps educate dog parents to understand what their dog is trying to communicate and when they've had enough. And I think that's also part of mental health, is as dog parents understanding the early signs that their dog is not feeling secure, so that they can de-escalate immediately and help create that calming environment. So there's some good information for dog parents on the role that they can play helping their dogs feel calm too.
Yeah. Like I said, my new dog that I have, Pac, took him fairly recently to a veterinary hospital to get his shots and heartworm tests. And I was warned, because he was given to me. So I'm not his first owner. I got him when he's maybe I've had him for maybe 2 years now. So I got him at 4. So I was warned that he's the sweetest guy ever, but at the veterinary hospital, he changes. And I was warned. So I came in saying, hey, he gets a little bit nervous, so just be careful. I'm not sure. I've never known him to bite or whatever. And yes, he showed his true colors. He didn't bite, but he basically said that, hey, he had enough and that he was going to bite. And I don't know. It's basically fear. Even though it came out as aggression, folks have to understand that in veterinary hospitals, in those settings, folks might say, oh, my dog may appear aggressive, or you might shock that your pet becomes aggressive, but actually it's out of fear, because he's not an aggressive dog. He's the sweetest guy ever. He's just scared, and that's their response. So having information like that to share, just you're saying a ladder of what they go through, aggression, that's helpful. Just to understand the process, because it doesn't mean your dog is bad or whatever. He's so scared. So we got to find a way to get them more comfortable in this environment. you know?
And it's funny, after I had sort of learned that working with a behavioral specialist,
Mhm.
we actually use it all the time at our house now, because again, our second rescue, who has some tendencies to sort of get nervous or
Mhm.
fearful, once I understood what those signs were, from starting with like, okay, I'm perfectly happy, to watch out, like I'm really uncomfortable, and what
Mhm.
are the different signals that the dogs give along the way that says they're increasingly uncomfortable. Once I understood those signs, I was able to say to my daughter, well, hold on,
Yeah.
Storm is getting upset right now. We need to
Yeah.
back off
Right.
before he takes it further. And so we use it all the time with children, and it's been incredible. That one little piece of advice, and understanding and knowing what dogs do as they continually get more upset, and to
Right.
stop it before it gets to that level. It's very important.
Definite. Yeah, because it's very rarely that they just all of a sudden just snap.
They
You
they
know?
they don't they don't they don't, usually will
Yeah.
not. You're right. They usually will not. They give warning signs along
Mhm.
the way that they're feeling increasingly stressed out.
Yeah. That's
So
that's awesome. That's really good to have information, and really, if you think about it, gosh, I'm thinking about, you know what, I'm thinking about how sometimes you have young children that are always afraid of dogs. At a young age, you're always afraid of them. It should be somewhere where curriculums in schools, or somewhere where they can teach people as far as behaviors and what to look for, and get rid of that fear. Because and I'll just share something about me personally. When I was little, crazy me, I've always loved animals. I think probably good, I don't know, good 8 years old, knew exactly I wanted to be a veterinarian. But crazy me will go up to a dog that I didn't know and pet it while it's eating. And yes, I got snapped at, and it's like, but it didn't deter anything with me, because I still fell in love with it and everything. But little things like that with young children, though, all they need is one event to scare them off for pets, you know?
absolutely.
And what I should have been taught was, you don't pet an animal, especially if you don't know them, especially while they're eating, you know.
Yeah.
But an education piece is needed there. So Pupwise would be a good resource to share that information with young children.
Absolutely. And that's a really good point. I think we should do, this gave me an idea. I think we should do a whole segment on children and dogs.
Mhm.
I think that's a
Yeah.
great idea. I'm gonna write that down. Get
Yeah.
to work on it after that, because I do think specifically having content around that would be super
Yeah.
valuable for families.
I could think of like settings like, I'll be honest with you, it was years ago when my son was in Cub Scouts. I went and talked about, I think it was some day we went, and I talked about pets and dogs and interacting and everything. But settings like that, Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, you know, that'd be a great environment to teach them information like that for pets, so to be aware of it.
You're always full of great ideas. This is perfect.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get to work on that. I love it. It's a great topic. That's much needed. So
yeah. It's like, oh no, what I went to speak for, it was bite prevention, dog bite prevention was what so it would be great for that.
Yeah, that would be great.
It'd be great. Yeah. So look, I'm full of ideas sometimes.
I love it. I know. I always come away with so many. You put me to work and we're done. I have like, this long list of things I need to. But I think that's what's so fun about having Pupwise, is that we've had a lot of recommendations from our users about, hey, can you do more content around this topic or that topic? And I think that's what gets exciting, is knowing that we can go off and we can do the hard work and we can talk to the vets and just sort of deliver content that people find really valuable. So
I think, I think that's
great.
good.
I love it. So
well, I appreciate you having me on for pet travel and everything. I'll be honest, I haven't looked at it in a while, and everything, but I appreciate my content being there and being a resource for you guys. Pet travel, as you know, that's my heart. My goal is to just change how we view pet travel. It's not a logistical checklist check, got the crate check, got the ticket check, and, got my health certificate check. It's so much more to it. On our side, it might be a checklist, but for that pet experiencing it, they're not looking at a checklist. They're experiencing confinement in a crate, and sometimes in a crate that they just, you just bought for them, and they're experiencing that. They might have underlying medical conditions that you didn't even pay attention to, and then now that can get exacerbated during transport. It's just things that you can do to better prepare your pet. So think it from their standpoint instead of a checklist. Think it from what they're going to experience, and that's what I'm trying to focus on and make changes regarding that.
Yeah, that's so important, and I think that's where where when you can combine sort of the logistics piece, right, with understanding what has to get done logistically to get your dog from one place to the other.
Mm-hmm.
And then combining the wellness piece. So when
Yeah.
we think about how we think about the content around this topic, we are providing enough information as well as, the experts that people can go and talk to sort of make sure that checklist is happening.
Mm-hmm.
But then then also having alongside of that, the wellness piece. Like, how do we think about, to your point, making sure our dog is ready to travel in a crate, right? Yeah. Are they comfortable in their crate? How much time should we be spending getting them acclimated to the crate? Yep. What does that process look like? Food, right? How do we feed them? Yep. How do we prepare them to eat what they're going to eat, or the frequency of how they're going to eat, the water, everything. And so I think that when you sort of marry those two concepts, that's where we get excited, because now the dog parent has not only a clear list of sort of logistical checks that they have to go through, but now they feel like they know how to prepare their dog from a wellness perspective for that trip as well.
Well,
so that's
just as you think about it, just as you said earlier, there's categories. Well, travel can touch multiple categories. Yep. It's got a mental health component, because some of them are, they get anxious and everything, and there's things you can work through there. There's a nutritional component to it as well, because you got to figure out how you're going to feed them. Look, when we travel, we can eat whatever we want when we get to I could, because I don't have any dietary indiscretions, so I can eat whatever I want to eat. Yeah, so we don't worry about it. But imagine you take your pet with you. You can't just feed them anything. You've got to prepare for everything, because if not, you're going to have a pet with a GI upset, diarrhea, vomiting, and that's terrible during travel. You don't need that to deal with that. So that component is there as far as nutrition. We said mental health with anxiety, crate acclimation, what's needed for that, training and everything up there. Even I would love it if, I don't know if we have on there, but even picking a compliant crate, because that's been an issue too with them being transported. Commonly, airline approved crates actually are not, that's more of a marketing term. They're not truly, not every airline will accept what's out on the commercial market. They want to follow a different standard with it's IATA, International Air Transport Association, their standards. So either way, all these things come into play with travel. So it connects out.
It's great. And we actually, when we talk about crates in our content, we actually have a link to IATA. Is that how you pronounce it? Mm-hmm. IATA, yes, the company that creates those crates. So I always, when I think of dog parent overwhelm, like the concept of feeling overwhelmed, which is a real thing, because there's a lot to learn.
It is.
I actually don't know if it's as much of a knowledge problem as it is a sequencing problem, right? So how do we help sort of take all this information and deliver it in an order and in a way that actually simplifies whatever you're trying to solve? Yeah. And so I think that by having content that helps you sequence both the logistical side and the wellness side, and kind of gives you step by step, okay, we're talking crates. Here's this crate, this company makes IATA crates. Great, check. Right. So it's really becomes, how do we sequence the content so that it actually makes sense, and we remove that overwhelm, because we're not feeling like we have to know it all at once. We're helping them kind of take it step by step.
That's a perfect way to do it. I mean, if you think about it, everything we do in life, there's multiple steps to it, but we don't, it's become second, like back of your hand, that we don't think about it. I mean, if you really think about all the things that we do, jumping in the car, driving down the road, if you think of all the things that we had to learn to be able to get there, that we don't even think about it anymore. And I would love for pet travel to be at a point where we don't even think about it anymore. This is what we do, period.
Yep.
And it might be multiple steps, but again, everything we do actually has multiple steps to it as well. It's just we're accustomed to doing it. We do it the same way just about every time, and now it's routine.
Yep.
I want it to be routine, that we know I'm traveling. Okay, yes, there's checklists I have to do, but I have to also, I have the logistic part. Then now what do I have to take care of for my pet as well, and go from there.
Yep.
That's my hope.
And that's sort of what we're trying to do with this next iteration, is help sequence information in a way that just removes the stress and the overwhelm of care. And so it's an exciting time.
It is. It is. Look, trust me, we can work together. There's more things I can sure definitely add to you for pet travel in reference to that. Because guys, think about it. Imagine if someone's traveling by in cabin with their pet. That's going to be different if they're traveling by cargo with their pet. Then, oh gosh, I don't know if you touched on service animals. Have you touched on service animals
We
within
have not touched on service animals. That is a gap in our content experience. So we should talk.
Is a valuable area. I can probably recommend some folks to you in reference to that can help you with that. I have a connection within Canine Companions. They could potentially help you with that. Yeah, that's a huge area. So folks will understand. And also, even with talking about service animals, I want folks to understand the ones that, unfortunately, that will label their pet as a service animal when he technically is not. I want them to understand the basis behind what they're doing with that, because you're interfering with those that truly need a service dog. So during air travel and everything, so you can't falsify information like that. So I think the more information out as far as knowing the facts and why they're needed will help folks too in the long run.
Absolutely, for sure. So we have lots of work ahead of us.
Hey, I look, I'm full of ideas, but I don't know. That you got me on a good day. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I think one of the things that comes up a lot when we're talking to dog parents, or I'm talking to people about Pupwise, is the relationship between the Pupwise experience and the veterinarian, right? People are thinking, oh gosh, are we trying to replace the veterinarian? Or we do not, I just want to make it really clear, we are not here to diagnose your dog.
Right.
Our goal is to help you have a healthier, more robust, more informed relationship with your veterinarian. So that means helping you recognize what's going on with your dog, making sure you're prepared for those vet visits. You know what questions to ask. You've been monitoring, creating baselines for your dog along the way, so that that 12 minutes or 15 minutes that you have with your vet can be as productive as possible. So, So we work alongside of them, but we are not in any way, shape, or form replacing vets. Obviously, they are critical to your dog's health. They are your dog's health. But yeah, no, really, our goal is to walk alongside that veterinarian experience, and if nothing else, enhance it so that when you go there, you feel like you really have some great, knowledgeable, helpful things to talk to them about.
That's good. I mean, you want to build upon that experience and make it better for the pet owner, because sometimes, who knows, in that short period of time, sometimes talking with your veterinarian, maybe something slipped your mind, and maybe now you can go to Pupwise, or maybe the veterinarian give you some more continuing education or something to go on. But either way, you can read some more resources to help you sometimes have a better understanding of things. And again, it's a vetted source, instead of, again, doing some Google search or what have you, and maybe get sidetracked on information as well. So I think that's really good. No, definitely need it. Definitely need it.
Yeah, I mean, our vets are busy. We have 12 minutes with them, 10 minutes with them. I mean, the rest of your life, you need Pupwise to make sure that you're staying on track.
Yeah. Your pup will love you for that. Will love you for it. And actually, let me ask you though, most of your information is it going towards dogs, or as far as the information share it is more dog focused? No cat?
No cats yet. We'd love to do cat wise at some point. Hopefully that will
cat wise or kitten wise.
Kitten wise. There's it's funny because there's so much great content out there, and so I think part of our focus has been on two parts. One is making sure we have the content, and obviously that's very time intensive because we do work with veterinarians, we work with experts. We're not just pulling stuff from the internet. It's all science backed. But then two is making sure that the experience is as user friendly as possible, right? And that's why we're pretty excited about the launch of our pilot program, which is coming out pretty soon, which will even help dog parents.
Share a little bit more about that, please, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So so obviously one of the things, again, it's important that we have a base level of foundational knowledge, right? That is the core of any good experience, is making sure that the content, the resources that we've vetted are solid. And so from there, really the goal is, as we talked about, dog parents don't think in terms of categories. They think in terms of a problem that they're trying to solve, or a question that they have. Why is my dog scratching, right? Why is my dog you name it. And again, while our goal is, well, we do not diagnose, so we're not going to tell you, oh, your dog is scratching because of XYZ.
Right.
Our job is to take all this content across the different categories that we've created in and allow you to understand both the science behind the various reasons why this dog might be scratching,
right,
to help you do your own investigative work based on that information, and then to give you the tools, the resources, the at-home test kits to be able to begin to dig deeper. So that when you ultimately decide if you have to go to your vet, that you come with all this information and the problem can be solved very quickly. Right. And so really what we're working on right now is that agent to help provide that conversational experience to help guide you down these various different care paths, pulling from all of the great content, which again, could be feeding, could be allergies, could be gut health, into a much more comprehensive step-by-step path to help you feel more confident in the decisions that you ultimately make for your dog.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking out of it can be confusing also, because when we say allergies in pets, when we have allergies, we sneeze and cough. When they have allergies, they scratch and just itchy skin and everything. So it's like a mismatch. It's hard for them to understand that. So again, itchy skin could be allergies, could be who knows, fleas, could be a bunch of things that can do that. So there's no one answer to it all, but I'm glad that you have a different variables you can share with them, the potentials. So when they finally get to their veterinary hospital, they can understand when your veterinarian, maybe suggest different diagnostic testing or things to come to the conclusion, you will have a better understanding of why they're doing that. Because again, it's not just one answer that's going to give it. It could be multiple things that's going on with your pet. So
absolutely. Yeah. And again, I keep going back to it, but that overwhelm is not because of too much information. It's because we lack the sequencing of that information to navigate it efficiently, right? And so that is our goal, is to help sequence content and resources in a way that makes those steps bite-sized and manageable.
Yeah. But even again, though, I agree with that, but I still go back to saying again, if it were that simple, veterinary medicine would be just straightforward, but it isn't. It's not simple.
It's not simple. It's very hard.
Yeah, it's not simple. So that's just life. But
But we'll work on it.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see the new additions for that. And basically, I need to work with you more closely to see if I can add a few more things onto my section too, as well, as far as just whatever is needed there to further expand things that we can do. Like I said, separating potentially in cabin versus cargo and just things to consider. Also to explain, I don't know if I went in there to explain sedation wise, not warranted, and all these different things to add to it. So there's a lot we can grow with on that. With Val. There's a lot we can do.
It's a really, I think more and more people are traveling with their pets. So this is a really important topic for dog parents to understand. And as you said, hopefully it just becomes something.
Second knowledge. If you think of all the technical things we actually kind of do, think about it. We've been driving, both of us been driving for years, but before we were drivers, think of all the things we were nervous about, the driving test and doing this and worried about. Now we don't even think about it anymore.
No. And I have a new driver in the family, so it brings me back to those think about every little piece of it. Whereas for us, it's just, or you start driving, and then you end up someplace and you're not really sure how you got there because you're just used to taking that same route. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It becomes second nature.
Yep, second nature. That's where we need pet travel to be.
Absolutely.
Give it time. That's my goal over time. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Man. Well, can you think of anything else you want to share with us regarding Pupwise? Definitely glad to have you here with us. Anything further you want to share?
I think, I guess the only thing I want to share is, so we have some exciting developments coming on the platform. So please jump on there. The platform is free, completely free. There's nothing that you need to do. Thank you so much. We'd love to hear your feedback. We should be launching the next version of this pilot program, which is going to be really exciting in the next month or so, 4 to 6 weeks. So get on there, play around. And then when that new version comes out, I think you're going to see how it all fits together pretty nicely. So that's the only thing I would say is take advantage of it. We've worked hard to create it. So we want you to benefit. We want all dog parents to benefit from it. And we actually don't believe that cost constraints should be a reason why you don't get the right information, which is why our platform is free. So everybody should jump on there and leverage the work that we've done to build it.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad you've done it and everything. Again, made it a valuable resource for pet owners to really get an understanding of just finding vetted information. And again, just ask the question, and Pupwise will help you get a response there to just help you better. Instead of just going to Google or Facebook or whatever, at least you're a vetted source and everything. So I'm glad you're here to share that information, Val.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure. I hope we can do it again soon.
We will. All right, folks, that is all that we have for this session. Thank you again, Val, for being with us. And we will be with you next week, I believe. And talk to you soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you.